go to the Sun and focus on the football, because the headline there is Rice, Rice, baby. And Charlie, this is your report. This was at the Vitality yesterday. You were at the game. Huge win for Arsenal. 6 points clear of Aston Villa, 7 clear of City ahead of their game today. This time last month, they lost to Aston Villa and a few people were questioning them. But they've come through and they've shown a lot of character. You can't underestimate what happened yesterday, can you?
No, they're finding a way to win, even though they're not necessarily still playing at their best all the time. Gabriel had a moment of madness and then scored at the other end. But Declan Rice, he was the story. I think he is the story for Arsenal at the moment. He's the heartbeat of the team, scored twice for the first time in the Premier League in his career, which I think tells you everything you need to know, really, that he's a brilliant player, but he needs to score more goals because he's played nearly 300 Premier League matches. And that's an area, I think, at the start of the season he spoke to Arteta about, or Arteta spoke to him about. And I think also for England, he's got, I think, 6 goals. So he's good enough to score more. He has to score more because the bloke they signed in the summer to sort of fire the goals to get them to the title has only scored 5 goals, Victor Gyökeres, and he looks totally lost. I mean, at the moment, it's remarkable. You think where Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top, and their top scorers are 5 goals in the Premier League, and that's Trossard and Gyökeres. And normally, teams that win the Premier League, you have at least one player that scores 20 goals. So it could be a first team to win the Premier League and not have a player that gets more than 15 goals. But Arsenal do have the best squad in the league, I think, which is why they're sort of getting through and getting the results they need.
Charlie, we'll come to Declan Rice in more detail in just a moment, but Alison Rudd's piece in the Sunday Times, she was at the Vitality Stadium as well, and it kind of illustrates the difference between last season and this season for Arsenal. She says this was the sort of game during which Arsenal came unstuck in the previous 3 seasons, allowing nerves or conservatism to creep in for a lack of self-belief to permeate the team. But in spite of Bournemouth's effervescence, Arsenal's body language never stopped conveying a sense of innate superiority and that they relished the challenge on the South Coast on a bitterly cold evening. They also, if you go back to the corresponding fixture last season, had William Saliba sent off. It was their first defeat of the season. It felt like a bit of a turning point. It was their 3rd red card of the season. They had 6 in all in the Premier League season last season. None so far this time. I spoke to Mikel Arteta on Friday specifically about this discipline, and he has said that they've had to learn lessons from what happened last season. And what are we, into 2026 and no red cards? The discipline's improved, hasn't it?
Yeah, hugely. And actually, you look at the last 4 games, they've won their last 4. I mean, they've won their last 5, but of the last 4, they dropped points in all of those corresponding fixtures last season. Yeah, the red cards thing's interesting because the season they first got good and went for the title, 22-23, their discipline completely flipped that season, and it was very good, having been really, you think the season before they had a lot of red cards, the kind of height of Xhaka, mad red miss and that sort of thing. Then they really settled down. Then, yeah, last season they got 1 and it kind of then this big persecution complex built, and I think he had to get rid of that and be like, look, we've had a few contentious ones. We remember Rice himself had that one against Brighton for kicking the ball away when that was all the rage before they decided, nah, it's fine. But yeah, they've massively improved that, and you look at the best teams. I mean, Arsenal under Wenger are the exception. They got a lot of red cards and somehow coped, but mostly, Guardiola's City, they don't get many because they're rarely putting themselves in position where they're out of control and they're chasing things. You don't see Rodri very often flying into tackles. That's not his game. And someone like Zubimendi has come in. He got booked yesterday, but he exudes that, I think. Like, Rice has been brilliant this season. Zubimendi, possibly the signing of the season anywhere in the Premier League. I mean, he is so good. And yesterday, he won the ball back something like he was in double figures, something like that. And he, I think, has been so key to why Rice has been so good this season as well. And it was very Steven Gerrard-like, but not just the celebration. Those 2 finishes were really Gerrard-esque, I thought.
We always talk about these previous seasons, Johnny, about when Arsenal had been so close and rival fans have mocked them, second again. It does feel very, very different this time, though, doesn't it? And maybe we've even said that before.
I think it does. I think it does feel different. I still have them as my favourites for the title. As good as City are, as much as they've kind of turned themselves around from the start of 2025. I just think if you look at, I mean, we talk about the lack of goals coming from Gyökeres, but I think it can be a strength as well. If you think that Jesus has hardly played a part, Havertz hasn't played a part, someone like Ethan Nwaneri has barely featured. There are potential. There is so much potential for players to come off the bench. Madueke comes
Eze
in.
hasn't got off the bench 4 games.
Eze hasn't got off the bench. Madueke comes in last night, and I thought he was really good. Like he was, he was a potential game changer, and it allowed them to leave Saka on the bench. I think that the ability to rotate and not have that drop off in quality is I think a real key for them, because we talked about maybe the lack of depth in that squad in previous seasons, and whereas City are maybe incredibly reliant on Haaland, they're incredibly reliant on maybe 4 or 5 key players. I don't see that with Arsenal. Rice drops out of the side and they beat Villa 4-1. So that collective strength, I think that's the sort of quality that wins titles.
Charlie, Wyatt, Johnny mentioned Declan Rice there when he missed out against Aston Villa and Arsenal managed to cope. Sam Dean in the Sunday Telegraph is effectively pushing maybe for Rice to be player of the season. Force of nature, Rice furthers his case for player of season honour. The best goal scorer in the Premier League is Erling Haaland, but is there a more complete footballing force in the division than Declan Rice, he says. The Arsenal midfielder continues to reach higher levels this season and is fast becoming the leading candidate to win the Player of the Year award. Yes, they did cope without him at Aston Villa, but do you feel he's the one player that they can't do without on a sustained period of time?
Yeah, no, I agree with Sam there. I'd have him as favourite to win Player of the Year. And, the Villa match, let's not forget, the first half, they could have been 3-0 down. Arsenal were incredibly open. They didn't play that well. They were actually quite open for periods in the first half yesterday as well. But yeah, Rice is so important for Arsenal. He's so important for England as well. If England are going to do anything at the World Cup, they have to have Declan Rice, playing at his best. And at the moment, he's just so impressive. But equally, Arteta has to make sure that he rests players at the right time. It was interesting last night, there was Saka and Trossard on the bench, because Arteta does overplay players, whatever he says, and he denies that, he really does. And there's been a few times even this season. Maybe we're thinking, is Jury and Timber going to get injured, and because he keeps playing all the time, and so that is still a concern. But regarding the discipline, an interesting thing is not only have they improved, but also there's been a few times where Arteta's taken players off on yellow cards, which he wasn't doing last season. So even things like that, he is learning. And one interesting, I like covering games at Bournemouth because you're really close to the action, like Newcastle. And again, there's a period where I was watching Arteta, and Bournemouth had a goal kick, and he was screaming at Gabriel to move about a metre to the left and half a metre back, and the goal kick landed on that very spot. Arteta knew exactly. It shows you what he's been doing at night, literally just watching Bournemouth goal kicks, because Gabriel didn't know that. And I just think that just shows the levels we're talking about. Arteta just looked at the keeper, saw, I know where that ball's going to land, and he was right. So it just shows, I thought that was quite remarkable.